Hello my friends and welcome. Let's go for the front lines review. For this we're gonna use the International Institute of the War Research's map because Deep State has no update. But here sometimes we may see even more details. Let's go to Staromayorsk that was liberated by Ukrainian army recently. From what we see, Russia tries to get the positions back in Staromayorsk from the Ruzzia village. The front line goes across this small river in this area. Before Ukraine took actually the ground over here, but Russia moved extra forces to Ruzzia to take those positions. That's why a couple of days ago Russians say that they've took Staromayorsk, but it's not like that. They've took this area. That is also not good for our side, but still not critical. Also, Ukraine lost this part of the field. I wonder how can I go on a timeline on this military map. Probably there is no such an option as on a Deep State. Well, Deep State didn't show that Ukraine took this part of territory, but this resource showed it before. Probably it was too optimistic. We also been told that Russia tried to get the previously lost ground over here near to Oriheve, but I don't see any changes. There is the fighting zone in this area. As for the Russian defense line's penetration, I don't think that Ukrainian army is capable to perform that in a close-by perspective, unfortunately. Still, we have the problems with the minefields. However, Ukrainian officials said that at some points Ukraine was capable to go through the Russian minefields. Also, I still think that Ukraine will use more reserves trying to penetrate the lines. At least we see that signal from the Ukrainian officials and also from the Western media. We'll see how it goes, but this month, however, in August, I do not expect the huge movement from the Ukrainian army. The same goes for Bakhmut. Our army just took the ground near to very important villages. There is the fighting in Klishivka. We took this small part of the village also, but there is no big jump to take those villages under control. Now there are four of them: Ozeryanivka, Kurdimivka, Andriivka and Klishivka. Maybe Ukraine is going to perform the simultaneous attack on all of those villages. It could be a good choice at the beginning, and if we see at some point that Russian defense is weak, we're gonna move more reinforcements to go to Opetne or Adarivka over here. So if our army sees some weak spot in the Russian defense performing this massive attack, they may concentrate more forces at some particular spot to go forward. And as I say to you, without taking this ground, it's impossible to go to Crimea. Still, it is possible to perform the sabotage actions by the special forces of Ukraine, but not the full-scale assault maneuver that is only possible if you reach the border with Crimea. Speaking about the sabotage, Ukraine today targeted the railroad bridge across this lake. It is the only railroad supply line that Russia used for their South group. On this photo you may see what happened to the bridge out there and to the railroad itself. It happened a couple of days ago and Russian media didn't say anything about it. Also, we have the satellite confirmation of that damage. We are now on a Deep State map resource. I want to show you the railroad connection in Crimea and also on the southern part of Ukraine. So here Russia supplies all of their goods using the railroad mostly, but today this bridge was hit, so Russia is unable to go through it. It means that they're unable to supply their army on the south using the railroad transport. There is the other artery over here, but it goes to Kherson, and the crossroad is over there, so Russia have to go to Ukrainian controlled territory and go back somewhere here. So now it is the logistic nightmare for the Russian Federation. They obviously may repair the bridge very fast. Plus the Kerch bridge wasn't restored by 100%, just a single line is working. Yes, the railroad works there, but they may only supply their group in Crimea right now. Plus it is the hot summer season for the Russian tourists, and believe me, there are many people who would like to visit the occupied territory out there. So Russia have to send the passenger trains out there at the same time. Then the passenger train is going, they're unable to send the military one. So they have to decide whether to make the useful connection for the Russian tourists in Crimea or to supply military as before. They are unable to perform it at the same way after the Kerch bridge attack. So you see how geographically vulnerable Crimea is. If Ukraine had control over this territory, it wouldn't be the easy game for Russia to keep their bases in Crimea. So I do not exclude that Ukrainian army may go to Crimea, but it will not happen very soon because Russia still has many of of the resources. I suggest you always check out the history and make the parallel with major wars. So then the Nazi Germany begins to retreat after Allies supplied USSR with more goods, more supplies, after Soviet Union start to produce more weaponry. So the same is here. Supplies for Ukraine are not at the level for Ukraine to conquer Russia in the fast assault operations. That's why unfortunately Ukraine moves slowly than it was expected before. But still we have initiative, and all of the Russian attempts to get more ground somewhere just failed and Russia was pushed back. That's it. Probably I should record the video how I see the future battle for Crimea with more details. But not for now. I think I'll just wait for Ukraine to penetrate the Russian defense lines in this area, and after it we'll see the perspective for Ukraine to move to Crimea. I have no doubts that Crimea will be returned to Ukraine, but unfortunately that may take even years. Interesting news are coming from China. From the 1st of September, the Trade Ministry of China will ban the export of some of the drones and the drone components. We are speaking about the drone motors, the guidance systems, and also about the commercial drones. China says that they doesn't want their drones to be used in this war, but actually I don't think so. I think that officially they will ban the export, and by the way, that ban will last for 2 years. But according to my personal thoughts, let's say China will supply Russia with those drones. Russia and China has a very long border, so it's not a big deal to transfer several containers packed with those drones. Why do I think that it may happen like that? Because China supplies 30 times more drones to Russian Federation than to Ukraine. So with this ban, as they call it, they will just cut Ukraine from supplies. It could be a big problem for us because I think even Mavic 3 will go under this ban. Yes, some of the drones are produced in United States of America, in Europe, and even in Ukraine, but most of them are using the China parts. I think that it should be fixed as soon as possible. The Israeli ship made it to the Ukrainian port, well, actually between Romania and Ukraine to Danube River. I think that the vessel will go to the Ukrainian port after all. The United States performed the air surveillance mission by the time then this vessel went to the ports. It's a good sign after the grain deal was cancelled by Russia. Croatia say that they may export the Ukrainian grains from their ports. Unfortunately, it takes lots of the time, efforts and money to deliver the Ukrainian grains to the Croatian ports. But it could be the other way out. Today, Russia targeted the home city of President Zelensky, Kryvyi Rih. 2 of the missiles went just into the residential buildings. Unfortunately, there are lots of the casualties and many got wounds. You see in the news that Ukraine mostly performs the attacks on the Russian military infrastructure and Russian officials. Well, sometimes Russia interferes into the normal drone flight and it may go to some sort of the civilian infrastructure, but we never seen those kind of the results on the Russian Federation territory. Here Russia deliberately targeted the Ukrainian residential building. A very precise missile, by the way, Iskander. Alright, Russia put some sort of the floating barricades near to the Kerch bridge. Those potentially could stop the drone boat attack. Well, we'll see how it goes. Maybe one boat may detonate very close to this stuff, making the way for the other boats. Also, Ukraine has the submarine boats and they don't care about this stuff. Ukraine uses quite a lot of the FPV drones, so Russia started to protect their vehicles. For example, as you can see over here, it looks like the Mad Max Fury Road Russian edition. May this, let's say, armor stop the drone? I don't think so. The thermal barrage shells that are used to attack the Russian vehicles are very powerful, but it adds some sort of the atmosphere, so in the future there will be many movies filmed about this war, I'm sure about it. So even the trash movies might be created based on the real events. My friends, please check out my Telegram channel in the video description just below. I upload there information regularly about what is happening around Ukraine and in Ukraine. Now don't forget to press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, there will be some links in the video description just below. Thank you so much for your awesome support. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.